Hello Virgo, Elsie here to do your reading. The reading is for the week ahead. Virgo, how are you? We're at the new week. I hope you're well. Thanks so much for clicking here. I am here with the tea leaves. We're going to start with these for the overall energy, and then we are going to look at tarot, find out what's going on in the week ahead for you, my friends. And if you're interested in an extension, there will be one at the end of this read. I will also tell you about the sale that's going on for private reads. So we've got, what have we got here? We've got the dragon and the elephant. Read those in just a second. Tell me what else we've got for Virgo, please. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me about Virgo. We've got the desk. One more. Tell me about Virgo. Okay, two more. Alrighty then, bottom of the deck, we should look there first. It says a tree. It says affairs with your family. So you could be dealing with some family issues possibly coming up in the week ahead. And so, all right, so we have the dragon. It says, beware of self-delusion. The elephant says, a long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser in the end. We do have the desk, and it says, pay attention to your work. We have May, and then we have the heart, and it says love, deep affection, and caring. So let's get some tarot on the table and find out what is going on here. Tell me more about Virgo. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, and Jupiter. Tell me more about Virgo. Virgo. There we go. All right, so we've got the King of Cups, got the Five of Cups, got the Magician, got the Devil, we've got the Six of Pentacles, and we have the Sun. Oh, by the way, it is thundering and lightning outside. So if you hear thunder, that's what the rumbling is in the background. Also, it's Canada Day. So in between the bouts of rain, people have been going and setting off fireworks, and so you might hear some of that in the background. No, nobody's shooting around here. It's just the fireworks. Okay, so let's see. Let's take a look here. I feel like something that you are still healing from something that happened in May. And I think that it could be some type of a romantic connection that you had. It feels like this was probably a really long-term relationship. And it feels like now you are on this really long journey of why it happened. It feels like you're on this mental journey, but also on a physical journey. So I feel like there was like a some sort of a glow up that happened at the end of the relationship here, and it feels like you also probably really put a lot of time and effort and attention into your work. I think that's how you were trying to heal. I feel like with the Five of Cups and the heart energy here, it does feel like that there is regret that this thing didn't work out. I feel like it may have been a tumultuous relationship, though, because we are showing the King of Cups. And so I feel like there is somebody in the relationship, I think it could be your energy. It feels like there's some energy of somebody who felt like they had to be that, or maybe that they were the only sturdy thing in the storm. It feels like that there were delusions, I'm going to say. And it says here with the dragon, beware of self-delusion. So I feel like maybe you thought that this was going to be a really long-term relationship. And I'm not calling you delusional, but I think that the King of Cups always thinks in that way, thinks very deeply, is very prepared, is someone who's very strategically prepared, and someone who feels like they can endure anything, because that's a fixed sign thing. And I feel like that may have been you. I feel that the reason that something here broke down is because there wasn't enough reciprocal energy. It does feel like you were giving more than the other person was, and I think that you came to that realization. I feel like this probably happened sometime back in May, and as I read this, we are we're in July, so the 2nd of July, I believe. So I feel like it's been a couple of months. I feel like you've been doing some healing. It feels like you still have sadness or regret, but I do feel like with the Magician energy that you're beginning to stabilize your energy, or realize your worth, or realize that you do have a lot of resources and skills, that you have all the aces up your sleeve, and that you always have had the power to pull away from this energy that feels like it is codependent or stuck to you. I feel like it's because you're so deep, Virgo. I feel like you're very, very deep. And I also feel that this sun being with the devil energy is a realization that I think you've come to recently. I don't think that it's something that you realized back in May, but however this thing went down, it feels like you immediately went to work and started working on yourself. It feels like maybe some lies could have been part of the situation, but it feels like it really just put you into overdrive. So you felt really driven to create something, maybe to recreate yourself or to multiply your pentacles. So maybe you did a lot of work. So I feel like there is, the situation is that I feel like you are just at the end of the healing. And I feel like you're just at this place where now you've realized what happened back there. Tell me about the devil and the sun. I feel like there's a realization. What's the realization here? Tell me about the realization, please, for Virgo. It is a breakthrough, and I feel like it almost is a night to day breakthrough. It feels like you felt really badly about the way things had gone until the sun came out. And when the sun came out, it gave a little bit of clarity to the moon energy. It feels like things really weren't as they seemed, and I feel like now that you are past this hard spot in your life. Look, maybe you got let go from a job. Maybe you quit a job. But whatever it is, I feel like you felt that you were the only thing that was solid and sturdy, that you were the one who was standing strong in the storm. No matter what went on, no matter what this person or this job handed to you, you took care of it. I feel though you come to this realization that this was something that was not on your path anyway. I think that you come to this realization that I had a different goal. I had a different goal and I didn't see it at the time, but now that the sun is out, I see this justice here. That karma had to be restored, that things had to come back into balance, and that meant that I had to let go of whatever was not for me. So I feel like you have been paying a lot of attention to your job or to your work. I feel like you're on this healing journey. And I feel like maybe you were in a relationship that looked one way to you because you were close up to it. But as you get further and further away from it, you're realizing now that the reason it couldn't work, like inevitably was coming to an end, is because it was very codependent, or you were the one that was putting in more than the other person. Whether that's maybe you were working too many hours and they weren't paying you enough, or maybe that was you were giving a lot of time, energy, and money to the relationship, and you really weren't getting anything back. It feels like now, the distance that you've got between you and when the situation happened, whatever it was that happened in May, I feel like now you're starting to realize, things had to change. There had to be transformation because I was chained to a situation that wasn't good for me. I wasn't happy there. And I was trying to stay strong in order to keep it together because I'm a fixed sign, or because I was acting like a fixed sign. So I'm looking at Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer here, and it feels like, I know you're not a fixed sign, Virgo, but I feel like it was like you have fixed sign energy, or you just couldn't save face. Like you just couldn't turn to it and say, you know what, this isn't for me. I think I've got to go. I think you stayed too long, because that's what Scorpio would do. I feel like you just stayed too long in the situation hoping it would work. We've got the Page of Wands, we've got the Three of Cups, and we've got the Empress. I feel like you've got a new way of looking at the future. And if you don't have it yet, I feel like that's the part that's coming in, like in the week ahead. It feels like you are coming to this place where you've realized that this magician energy, that you always had the tools, always had the aces up the sleeve, you always had the power, the resources, and the skills to be able to cut away from this devil energy. And so the devil energy, I feel, is now apparent. That it was maybe a codependent or toxic relationship that you were in, but when you were close up to it, I don't think that you saw it. So I feel like this relationship, though, whatever this was, it taught you a really big lesson. And I think that the lesson was to teach you your worth, that you were worth more than the situation that you were in, but I think you were holding on to it at the time because you felt like it was the only thing that was going to be there for you, that if you let it go, you wouldn't have anything else or anyone else. The Page of Wands is exciting. So I feel like, now that we're going into the future, I feel like if you're not already feeling some of this energy, that I feel like you will feel it next week. We do have the Three of Cups, which is celebratory energy. The Page of Wands, which is an exciting call, or someone is going to call you and say, hey, come on out with your friends. I feel like this is a new day, that you're birthing sort of a new chapter or a new cycle. And I feel that it's also maybe a new group of people, or people you haven't seen in a while, that are not aware that you've gone through this very big change, glow up, or change of vibration in your life. I feel like you are now the Empress, whether you're feminine or masculine. I feel like you're somebody who is always looking forward to trying something new, being open to the sun coming up again. It feels like you're in this creative energy and you're ready to try something new, or to take on something new here. Yeah, I think it's going to surprise everybody. We're looking at the Ace of Cups here, and this is the only deck, this deck here, this is the only deck where it's the Wild Reflections Tarot, where I see the Ace of Cups as kind of being a surprise. And so, because this person is opening up the oyster shell, and in the center of the oyster is the pearl. Now, sometimes we associate the two, but understand that not every oyster ends up with a pearl. I feel like the group that you then connect yourself to really sees you, is really surprised at maybe your glow up, or how much you know, or how stable or sturdy you are, how confident you are in your energy. So this could be a new group of people, but somehow I feel like it's not for most of you, because the Page of Wands is here. It almost feels like someone calls you up and says to you, hey, why don't you come out with us? We haven't seen you in a while. And so I feel like this Empress energy is something that is probably going to shock and surprise people. And I feel like they're also going to see a different you. Somebody who is in their King of Cups energy, somebody who is stable in a storm, somebody who's solid, grounded, somebody who moves slowly and is very kind, considerate, compassionate. And it's not to say you weren't those things before, but I think you've really stepped into your Empress energy, which is also a very creative energy. And it's also an energy where you really don't need anyone. So you're stepping into this energy of these people that maybe you knew in a different vibration. And you are showing up as somebody who really loves themselves, who is full of love, right? We've got Libra and Taurus. Those are both Venusian signs. And so you are showing up as someone who is very loving and kind and ready to give all of that to someone else. So what exactly did you learn from this situation that you were in? Because I think it's only recently that you've come to a realization, or had a breakthrough with the sun, that life could be happier if you weren't connected to codependency, or if you didn't have someone in your life who was giving you doubt, who is maybe you were in fear of this person sort of pulling you into their pit, like it feels like that. So I feel like this energy of the sun has just come up recently for you. We've got the Nine of Wands, we've got the Seven of Pentacles, and we have the Hermit energy. So I feel like you are in this Hermit energy. I feel that's how you became the Empress, that you went in immediately after the ending of this relationship, that you went into this place of self audit. And I feel like you're like the best at it, but really the worst at it, because you really are the hardest on yourself. Of everybody in the zodiac, you are the hardest on yourself, the hardest on your health and how you look and how you think, and am I doing enough? Am I enough? I feel like the Seven of Pentacles is where you decide that you're going to work on some of those things, because I feel like when you came out of this job or this friendship or this love relationship, that you were exhausted. I feel like the Nine of Pentacles tells me that you were not only not the Nine of Pentacles, but the Nine of Wands tells me that you weren't only the wounded warrior, but that you were getting close to burnout. I feel like you were maybe fighting depression. It does, is there something here that said that? No, it feels like maybe you were fighting doubts about yourself, heartbreak, worry. I feel like you felt like stuck, like your life was not moving forward. And I feel like you were sort of scared to face your fears. Now, although the King of Cups is great energy, you can be a person who ends up trying to save everybody. When the King of Cups is here, Scorpio energy I'm talking about, also Pisces and Cancer, because we are in a general reading. But, Scorpio is someone who is really always trying to save somebody. Like they're always trying to help somebody. And I feel like that's how you got caught in the situation that you were in. I feel like you decided you needed to move away or move forward from this relationship when the sun came out and it shone on the Six of Pentacles and made you realize that you were a king in your kinged energy, King of Cups, dealing with a page. You were dealing with somebody who could not feel love as deeply as you, who didn't have as deep an understanding of love because the king is wisdom. And the person that you were with, maybe there was a large age difference, but that person didn't have as much wisdom as you had. And so I feel like that person may have moved on from you or broke up with you. But I feel like whenever the universe pulls somebody out of our path, it's because it was not supposed to, that person was not supposed to be on our path forever. They were actually a karmic relationship. So when karma comes into play and everything comes back into balance, that's when the sun comes out and you realize that the time that you had spent back there was simply supposed to be for the lesson and not for the rest of your life. So I think you're in this place where you become very honest with yourself, very truthful with the Queen of Swords here, and then you realized it's time to move on. There is too much of a mismatch of vibration here. We're going to go into the extended now. If you're interested in the extended, please look in the pinned comment. There also is all the information that you need about, there's a special code if you're interested in 10% off pre-recorded readings or up to 75% off of readings that are live. Please go take a look at that. And that'll be going on until the 20th of July. Okay, so let's take a look here. This is what we're going to talk about in the extended here. We've got the Page of Swords, the Three of Wands. I feel like you are planning for the future, and I feel like it is a future where you're looking for an emotional partner. This person has got their eyes fixated on this waterfall, but also the time is going by. It feels like your time is going by. The person, the seat across from you is empty. You've got a cup there. It feels like you're in an observance of what is going to come in the future. And I feel like what is going to come in the future is some sort of an emotional bond with somebody here. So I do feel like there is somebody who is showing up in the future. But I think that the reason this person is showing up is because you've done the work. It feels to me like I'm speaking to a Virgo who's really been working on themselves, who instead of getting out of a relationship and getting into another one immediately, I feel like you pulled back your energy and you decided to do the self-audit. What do I need to work really hard on? Because I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling like I'm ready for burnout. And I think I'm done with being on the apps. I think I'm done with dating. So I feel like all of that energy, it accumulates. And I feel like all of that working on yourself that you did for a couple of months, it feels like you end up being in this Empress energy. So I feel like in the Empress energy, now you're attractive. Now you're calling in whatever it is that you want. Your manifestation skills are on point. So I feel like what you're calling in is you are observing the future. And in the future, you see the Two of Cups. So we're going to talk about that. We will talk about the Two of Cups. I feel like this person on the bottom of the deck, which is the future energy, this is your romantic connection. Got the Knight of Cups and the Emperor. So I feel like you are going to be meeting your match, whether you're the masculine or the feminine. I feel like you're going to be meeting the person who is on your vibrational level. You see, that person wasn't the person you were with back earlier in the year, was not your person. They were meant to teach you a lesson, to level you up so you could be leveled up to the place where you were supposed to be. So let's go into the extended. If you'd like to be there, that's where I will be. And if this is where we part ways, that's okay, because I'll be back, because I'm always back doing more readings. Love you guys. Thank you, Virgo, for being here and watching. See you in the extended. Bye-bye.